Thanks so much for being here. Hi, I'm Teresa from 360 Handmade Bags, and welcome to my sewing studio and my YouTube channel. If you're new here, thanks so much for hopping in, and if you're returning, thanks so much for coming back again. And just to let everybody know that we're all bag makers, but at some point in time we all had to start somewhere. So I do go into detail in my tutorials that a lot of people already know, but there may be somebody brand new to bag making that's watching this video for the very, very first time. And also, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. That goes a long way to help boost my channel. And on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen is a little red subscribe button. Click that. Ensure that that you click the notification bell icon and ensure that your notifications are set to see all posts so you don't miss anything. All right, so today Holly from Purses by Holly asked me to do a tutorial on one of her older patterns. I don't know exactly when it came out, but is the Hollywood shoulder bag. The pattern comes in two sizes. There's the Diva size, which is the large, and the petite size. So today we're doing the petite size. I've already done a Diva size, and I'm just going to show you what that is like. So I've already done a tutorial. So this is the Diva, and the leather that I use, this is leather, and it has like an ostrich dot to it. So that's the back of the bag. There's the front. So it's wrinkled from the interfacing I use, but I couldn't use foam. Anyhow, so it's a nice shoulder bag with a nice size shoulder strap. It has this large front slip pocket, and it has a recessed zipper pocket, or a zipper on the top, and then inside there is a large zipper pocket and then a slip pocket. So this is the Diva size. So the size that we're doing today, because I've already got a tutorial on the Diva. So the size we're doing today is the Petite. Now, I've already done a live on this Petite, and it must have been Friday the 13th, because everything and anything could have gone wrong that day that I did the live. I had the notification all set up. I had a lot of people watching, and the audio went. So I had to stop that live, and I had to set up a whole new one fast. And then I made mistake after mistake after mistake in doing the live sewing up the Petite. So this is me making doing a for real tutorial on the Hollywood shoulder bag from Purses by Holly, the Petite size. So this is the one that I did in the live. Isn't that a gorgeous bag? A beautiful size. All of my fabric that I used inside and out on this bag is from Sam Fabric Creation in Quebec. So this is her Merglow, one of her Merglows, but look at how gorgeous that goes with the sunflower faux leather. And it has a nice two-tone strap. It has, of course, the slip pocket at the front, and there's the lining as well from Sam Fabric. And it does have the zipper, and I've done in the top here, this recessed zipper. Now, I sewed it, when I did the top stitching in the live, I did it different than what's in the pattern. And this one, I did the way it's in the pattern. So this way, you can see that the zipper, recessed zipper kind of pops up the way I sewed that, I top stitched that. But this one sits flat. And I kind of like that. And everybody in the live would say, oh no, you're supposed to flip everything over and top stitch. But I wanted to see how this is. And I'm pretty sure that this is the way that Janelle does it in the Aspen crossbody from EMMALINE bags. Anyhow, I made my own zipper pull. So this is, and there's lots of room in this bag. It's not super huge. Like the measurement on the Diva is 11.5 inches wide by 7.5 inches tall and 3 inches deep. And sorry, on the Petite is 11.5 wide by 7.5 tall by 3 inches deep. And the Diva is 12.5 inches wide, 10 inches tall, and 4 inches deep. So I'll show you the size difference, but there is a lot of room. I've already got my stuff in here. I'm trying it out. So underneath here, there is a zipper pocket. Now, in the Diva, the pattern calls for a slip pocket. In the Petite, it doesn't, but in this particular bag, I did put a slip pocket in there as well. The one we're making today, I'm not going to do a slip pocket, but that is just absolutely gorgeous. It's such a cute bag, and it's such a nice bag to carry. You could put purse feet on the bottom if you wanted. I didn't on this one, but and I didn't on the Diva. So here's the size difference between the two of them. There is a significant difference in size. But this one is a great work bag, I think. And it's just a, you know, I really wanted to zhuzh it up with this rhinestone bling from Sam Fabric Creation. And now also the bag is called for as a birth bag. I didn't do that with this leather one. I made a drop-in lining, which is very, very easy to do. But this one I did birth the way she has it in the pattern through the opening on the interior slip pocket, but I'm going to still birth it, but I'm also going to give myself a little bit of room to move. Alrighty, so that's what we're making today. Not this one, because I already did this one on the live that I kind of bombed out, made a lot of mistakes, but you know what? Everybody was so wonderful and they stuck with me. All right, so this is what the fabric that we're going to be using today is not from Sam Fabric. The lining is from Sam Fabric. So this is the lining, and that's from Sam Fabric. It's waterproof canvas, and this one has a PVC backing, so it has a bit of stability to it. The exterior main color bag is this really nice kind of grayish, dusty, grayish slate blue, and I have interfaced everything with EMMALINE bags, EB Fuse medium woven interfacing. So I've interfaced all of my exterior pieces. So that's one of the exterior, and then the other exterior is this. I got this from Temu, and it has butterflies and dragonflies on it. So that's what I'm going to be doing with that. So we're going to start with the strap. And I have already, each piece in the pattern, whatever, she gives you a specific length, and each piece I'm going to have a finished 1-inch wide strap, and it's going to be a two-tone strap. So I'm using this color, and then I'm going to be using this as well. So we're going to make this strap, and I'm also using rainbow hardware. So for each piece, it's hard to see, but I did draw a center line and down the center, double-sided tape on either side for this piece as well. And we'll just take the backing off. And fold the raw edge to that center line. All right, so I have the two pieces folded into the center. They're both 1 inch, and I'm going to take double-sided tape, and I'm going to run it down that center fold on the wrong side. Tape ripped. And then we just take the two wrong sides together. So they're your two edges that have been folded in, and line those up together to create a double two-tone strap. and that double-sided tape in the center will help keep it stuck on. All right, so just like that. And I'm going to use this as the right side of the strap and the blue as the underside. So I will top stitch 1/8 of an inch seam allowance down this side. Then to prevent your strap from twisting, then come right back at the top end where you started and do your top stitching down the other side. And the stitch length that I'm using is a 3. All right, so make sure that your ends are straight. Use my good scissors. So there we have, that's our top side, and there's our back side. All right, so I'm just going to trim the ends off straight because we're going to be putting strap ends on these. Burn your ends, especially since we've cut the threads. All right, now we're going to take our strap ends. Now I don't have rainbow strap ends, I'm using gunmetal. Put my little screws in there. Okay, what I do is with the strap end, I put, oh, that's the wrong one. This one's not even open. I take my glue and put a little bead down the strap end, but not end to end because it'll ooze out the ends anyways. And then I just tap it down. All right, so we're going to put, this is the right side up. Put our strap ends on. All right, take my electric screwdriver and screw in the screws. Come on. Okay, and then we'll repeat for the other side. All right, and there is our strap. That's the raw underside, and then there's the top side. Okay, so we're just going to put the strap aside for the moment. Now we're going to work on our D-ring connectors. And there's a measurement in the pattern. Draw your center line down, double-sided tape on either side. And again, fold those raw edges to that line. And then we're going to top stitch down each side, 1/8 of an inch. All right, then you're going to get your, you have 2 rectangle rings needed. So I don't carry rectangle rings, but I do have a lot of tri-glides. So I create my own rectangle ring. I just take this center bar off the rectangle ring. Just pull it off, and then you've got your own little, just saves extra money from, you know, having to buy extra hardware to store. Just try and get underneath that edge. This doesn't want to come up. Oh, there we go. All right, we have our 2 rectangle rings now. So slide your D-ring connector onto that, and then baste across the bottom edge there. All right, and then I just make sure that they're both the same length. And these guys are, all right, so we're just going to put our rectangle ring connectors aside for the moment. And the other prep that I'm going to do is I'm going to do the long zipper first. And we create a the Butler method or the 90-degree turn on the zipper. So these are all like little prep things right now. So whatever the zipper length is in the pattern, and then I draw a line across here, open the zipper past that line, and then fold on that line, ensuring that your side edges are straight. And then you're going to see that little back piece pop up. Take that folded edge and put it right underneath your zipper teeth and then pin it. I can hold on to the pin. And then do the same for the other side. Line up these 2 edges. Hold this folded edge, and then pop up the back end, and then fold your teeth underneath the zipper. So this is what we have right now. So we're going to sew right like 1/8 of an inch just along here, sew it and back stitch. So I start this way, and I sew from here up to the teeth and back, and then the same on the other side. It's not pretty, but it doesn't matter. You're not supposed to see it. Okay, so this is what we have now, and then we're going to trim these extra edges off and then burn them to prevent fraying. And we're not doing anything with the zipper until it's time to sew them onto our recessed zipper facings. Okay, so we're done our zipper for the moment, and we'll just put that aside as well. Now we're going to be working on the front exterior pocket. So you're going to need your pattern piece C, the front exterior pocket. You have one main exterior fabric piece and one lining piece. So my exterior and my lining. So right sides together on this top long edge and clip. And then we're going to stitch across here at the seam allowance in the pattern, and then we'll flip it and top stitch. All right, so just fold your material upward. Line up your seams here, folding your lining to the back. I'm going to clip the lining and ensure that it matches down at the bottom before I do anything, because we're going to be basting all the way around this curve. All right, so I went and already top stitched this, but we have to add the female portion of the magnetic snap. So I'm just ensuring that my center marks that I drew on here are accurate. Okay, and then I'm going to lay the pattern piece down because there is a spot on the pattern piece where you mark your hole, and it should line up on that center. Okay. All right, so I've got that marked. Now I do use duct tape to help stabilize everything. Find the end. There it is. All right, I take my stylus so that I can see where I'm going to draw my marks. I take my stylus and I stick it in the center-ish of your duct tape, and then I put the stylus on that center of the dot and then lay it on there. And now I have a mark here where I know where to line up the hole of my washer. And then I can draw my slit marks. And take my seam ripper and cut the slits. And then what I do also with my magnetic snaps and my bag tags, I also add glue to the underside so that it'll catch on the fabric. Don't add a lot. It looks like I'm adding a lot, but I'm just smearing the drops around, and it'll catch on the fabric and hold on to the fabric better. So flip this over to the right side up and pop your magnetic snap in there, and I push it down onto the fabric. Put your washer over top of the prongs and splay your prongs out. They don't sit flat, so I just push those prongs up against my desk to flatten them. And then I take another piece of duct tape and I cover over top of that washer and those prongs. So now we have our washer, our magnetic snap. Then we can fold over the top here. So I should have had all this done ahead of time, but we'll fold over the top edge of where we're going to top stitch and clip. Okay, so I'll be top stitching across the top edge and then basting all the way around the sides at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so there's our slip pocket front. Now we're going to do the front flap. This is where I really messed up in the live, if you saw the live. All right, so the front flap as well, we are going to put the male section of the magnetic snap. So there's our male. And it'll be on the lining side, not the exterior. So mark your centers. Just so I can make sure it's lined up. And there's my white gel pen, and then I'll line that up to draw my dot for my magnetic snap. Okay. Then I'll take my piece of duct tape and my stylus, and I'm going to pop the stylus through the center of that dot on the front side, and then stick it through the duct tape and stick the duct tape on my fabric. And then I can see on the underside here where I would draw my slit marks with that hole. All right, so I installed my male portion of my magnetic snap onto the right side of the lining. So now we're going to put our right side of our exterior on the flap with the right side of the lining. Line up your corners, your edges, centers, all the good stuff. All right, and when you have your two right sides together, we're going to stitch them at the seam allowance in the pattern all around the raw edge, the curve. All right, and then I'm going to hopefully use my pinking shears to trim all the way around. Take maybe about 1/8 of an inch off the seam allowance. All right, then we'll turn the flap right side out. Pushing your seams out. Use a turning tool if you need to. Okay, and then I'm just going to clip all around this edge, this folded edge, ensuring that I have the curves curved out. Okay, then we're going to top stitch all around here, and then I'm just going to baste across the top edge. Clips back here already. All right. All right, so there's our flap. Okay, so off camera, I added my bag tag on the front, and then I top stitched all the way around the folded edge and then basted across the top. So now we're just going to put the flap aside for the moment. So now we're going to take our pattern piece A, the front and back panel. You have 2 exterior and 2 lining cut. So we're going to take one of the exteriors, ensure your centers are marked, and then we're going to take our slip pocket and line up the bottom and clip, and we'll line up the sides as well. And then we're going to baste this on. right, so we're going to be adding our flap on here. So click your male and female magnetic snap. Make sure that it sits straight. And just clip in place for the moment. Then you're going to take panel piece B, front and back upper panel. You have 4 exterior cut, and 2 of those exterior have interfacing on. So we're going to take one of those at the moment and then put the other one aside. And we're going to line up the long straight edge. Line up the centers with your flap and the upper part of your front panel and clip, and then we're going to sew them all on at the seam allowance in the pattern. All right, and then we're going to fold up this front panel, and then we're going to top stitch across that folded edge. All right, and we're just going to put this aside for the moment. So there's our slip pocket underneath. And then we're going to take the other pattern piece A, the other exterior, and then we'll put the lining pieces aside for now. And the other pattern piece B, front and back upper panel, the one that is interfaced, if you've done interfacing or foam. And then we'll line these 2 guys up, right sides together, clip, stitch, and clip and top stitch. So clip, stitch, flip, and top stitch. All right, and we'll put the front and the back panels aside for the moment. All right, now we're going to be working on the side gusset and the bottom. So you're going to need your pattern piece E. The bottom panel, you have 1 exterior cut and 1 lining. And I have interfaced all of my exterior pieces with the EMMALINE bag EB Fuse medium interfacing, woven interfacing, but on the bottom I did 2 layers of it to give the bottom a little bit more stability. Then you're going to need your pattern piece G, your side panels, and you have 2 exterior pieces with that. So we're going to take the, there's a short end, which is the top, and the long edge on the bottom. We're going to take the long edges, line them up with the side of the bottom, right sides together on both sides. And then we're going to stitch that at the seam allowance, flip and top stitch. This is such a cute bag. It really is. And it's a nice size for every day. You can even really zhuzh it up and make it a really nice evening bag as well, with a chain shoulder strap. A little bling on it. Okay, there's our base. And I'm just going to take these 2 sewn seams, line them up, and clip our centers on both sides of the base. Okay. And then we will be taking our back panel. And I've got my centers marked at the top, but I have to get my center marked on the bottom. And I'll have to do the same for the front because we're going to be putting the front and the bottom, the back on now. I should have done this before I put any flap on. Okay, so working with the back panel, right sides together, line up all of your centers and the straight edge on the bottom of the back panel. Take your side edges and line up your top edges and your sides. And clip them all together. Perfect. Everything lines up. Love it. And then we'll do the same for this side. Lawnmowers are coming in. It's grass cutting day today. I'm just going to snip in this part of the gusset. Yeah, lawn mowing day today. So, okay, just snip that gusset. And my windows are open. It's cool enough today to have the windows open. No air conditioning on, which is nice. Okay, and then I'm just going to stitch all the way around here, and then we'll have to clip into our curves to help them lay better. All right, and then we're going to take our right side and repeat. Oops. So right sides together, match up your bottom centers and clip. And I definitely will not be able to use my pinking shears after I sew this seam. Okay, now we'll turn this bag right side out. All right, so we still have to train our seams after, but there is the bag so far. Isn't that pretty? That is really pretty. Okay, all right, it went like that. Okay, so we're going to put, let me just see, I think we're doing the D-rings now. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to put the D-rings on. All right, so mark your centers for your side seams here. I should have put the D-rings on ahead of time when we did the side panels. We're going to do them now. It's still okay. All right, and then I'm just going to put double-sided tape across the bottom edges of the D-rings. Okay, so if it goes like that, it's going to go up. Okay, so I want to, and I want that side up. All right, so take the double-sided tape off the end of your D-ring connector, and we're going to center them on the right side. D-ring, or not D-ring connector, sorry, rectangle ring downwards and right sides together. And clip. That's why it would have been easier to do it when before these got sewn in. Oh well, there's always something. Okay, and we're just going to base them on. Make sure your rectangle ring is not in your way. Okay, beautiful. It's straight. It's the main thing. Okay, so our D-rings, or our rectangle ring connectors, are now on, and we're just going to put the bag aside for the moment. All right, so we're going to now take pattern piece A, and we have our 2 linings, so we're going to take one of our linings right now, and we're going to add our zipper pocket. That's the bottom panel. There we go. Okay, so I have left, I cut the piece in half. Holly has a certain way in the pattern that she puts the zipper on, makes the zipper pocket. I do it a different way. So on the wrong side of your lining, now the lining piece was a certain measurement across and long, and I cut it in half because we're still going to use this as a turning hole. But in this case, I'm also going to leave an opening in the main lining to turn the bag. So on the wrong side, I've drawn my zipper box. Mark your centers, which I didn't do. And just line up the top edge. And then I'm going to sew around the zipper box, and I'm decreasing my stitch length down to a 2. I like using a smaller stitch length when I sew my zipper boxes. Okay, so I'm just going to fold this in half. Well, not quite half, but just make sure my stitches on the front and back line up. And I'm just going to make a snip down that center line, a little hole. Then I'm going to cut along that center line and then cut my triangles out to the stitching in the corner, but don't cut your stitches. Okay. And then I'm going to put double-sided tape all the way around the box and give it a lot of space, maybe about an inch, and along the top edge. And that way it'll make it easier for me when I push everything to the back. The double-sided tape will help hold the facing down, the lining facing and then it'll help hold it on before we sew the zipper on. So shove everything to the other side. I usually take this longer part and just clip it. And then I work with the top short edge because it's always the awkward one and the sides are awkward too. And then just fold along, pull your lining facing and your top edge together, and so that you have a nice crisp edge on your zipper box edges. And we take the sides off, the double-sided tape off the sides, and fold them without puckers. Then I work the bottom. I just do it this way, it's easier for me. And pull your seam open and fold as you pull, and the double-sided tape will help stick it down. All right, then I just take my nails and I just run my nails over top of these folds, and I make a nice crease because this lining from Sam fabric makes really nice creases. It's great for card slots. All right, so there's our zipper box. Now we're going to take our short zipper and we're going to put one of our zipper pulls on. First of all, I'm going to put double-sided tape on the top and bottom edge of the zipper tape before I put my pull on. And there's a certain measurement in the pattern for how long your zipper is for the Petite. Okay. It's stuck. Okay, And I'm just going to fold it in half. First of all, burn the edges because these zippers fray a lot. And I most likely will be cutting it down and then have to burn it again. But just fold it in half to find your center. Excuse me. And I'm just going to fold this in half and make a crease in the zipper box to find my center as well. And that'll help me line up my zipper there. All right, and take the double-sided tape off. I have my zipper pull closing to the left. And I line that up horizontal here. And I can just see my crease and my crease here for the center, and then line up the zipper tape in the zipper box. And center it. Okay, just like that. And then we're going to stitch all the way around the zipper box. And I still have my stitch length at a 2. Okay, so there's our zipper sewn on. So on the back side, pull your sides and your top back and remove all the double-sided tape now. Okay, and then take your other lining, right sides together, and line up. Oh, before I have to do that, I've got to cut my zippers down. They're too long. So I'll just cut them down to 1/4 of an inch. I always cut my zipper by the yard longer than what the measurement in the pattern is, and I'm sure the measurement in the pattern gives a little leeway as well. All right, so just burn those zipper ends again to prevent fraying. Ouch, got my finger stuck on the burnt zipper tooth. Okay, so lining side up, take your other lining piece, right sides together, and then clip. So what we're doing is we're going to be clipping the top edge all together, all layers. Don't clip all the way to the end of the corner of these ones because you're going to want room. And then you're going to be clipping your sides of your panels, your linings. And we're leaving the bottom open. So then I flip that up, and then I take the bottom edge and I'm going to fold it up about 1/4 of an inch. Fold the two pieces together, just clip them at the bottom. And that'll create a good turning hole and a good start on our our crease. So then I'm going to just stitch all the way up here and the other side, and then we're going to baste across the top edge. And then do the other side. And then baste across the top at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so there is our zipper pocket with the, with the bottom open. All right, so now what we are going to do, now we're not adding anything to the other panel side. So we're just going to put these guys aside for the moment. And we're going to take our recessed zipper pieces, and you have 2 exterior and 2 lining. Now I do mine different in the than what Holly has in the pattern. So what I do is I cut the measurement that she's given on each end of the 4 pieces. I measure 3/4 of an inch and draw a line on each end. Double-sided tape on either end. Fold those ends into up to the line. All right, so what's important at the moment is ensuring that your 2 exterior pieces are identical in length. So line up your top 2 folds and ensure that they're both the same length. And if one is a little longer, like this one, I'm going to undo the fold and fold it in a touch more. That's where the double-sided tape comes in handy. And we'll see if they meet up now. Okay, perfect. Alrighty, so now we're going to take our zipper, and where we've already done the 90-degree turn or the Butler method, and we're going to separate our zipper. And we're going to take one of our lining pieces. Make sure you have them going up the right way, because I have butterflies and dragonflies, so I want to see them this way. Okay, so take double-sided tape, run it across the top edge of your exterior piece. And then take the piece that has the curve so the right side, if you're new to this, the right side of your zipper tape is the zipper teeth. So we want the right side, our zipper teeth, right side together with the right side of our recessed zipper panel. So that means your curve is going to be on your left side. Line up your zipper teeth, the edge of your zipper teeth, in line with that edge. And you have a little space. And then put your zipper tape all the way across. Now my zipper tape is going to be extremely long because this was the end of what I had. So I had just enough to do my 2 zippers, and it matches perfectly. Then put double-sided tape across the top edge, all the way across. And then take one of your lining pieces, line up your 2 folded edges on the left side, ensure that they are even, and then stick down to the double-sided tape along your zipper. Now, this is where you need to ensure that when you get to the end, your lining is the same length as and fold as here. So it's sticking up a little bit. So I'm going to undo that fold and fold it a smidge more in. And you can see the fold underneath as you refold it. And then they are now in alignment with each other. So I'm going to just put that one aside, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the other side, but there's a slight difference if you're new to this. So double-sided tape across the top edge. Then your zipper tape. So now this time, this piece, right side's down and the straight edge at the top, your curve is now on your right side. So you're going to line that up with the folded edge on the right side of your exterior recessed zipper panel. When I was new to bag making, some of these steps confused the daylights out of me. And I was very appreciative of the tutorials that went into detail to explain this and to show exactly what was being done, because some things I just couldn't get my head wrapped around. All right, so double-sided tape across the top edge again. And then take your other lining piece, right sides together, but this time we're going to line up those folds on the right side. Ensure that they are even. And then we'll make sure, and I have to add a little bit more to the fold on the lining. Somehow I have a cut on my finger. I wonder what I did. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch across down here, flip them and open them up, clip them all together all around, and baste the raw edges and top stitch across the top fold and the sides. And repeat for this side. All right, so before we turn them, then trim off this corner where the two are sewn together, and then on this one where your zipper tail is, pull your corners back and trim those corners off diagonally. And that just helps reduce the bulk in the stitching. All right, so then we're going to take our two folds, make sure that they're lined up, and clip. Clip the raw edges together. All right, so on each piece, we're going to baste across the raw edge, top stitch up this folded edge, top stitch across the zipper folded edge, and top stitch down this side on both edges, both pieces. All right, my bobbin ran out, so I changed my bobbin and I finished off these off camera. And when my bobbin ran out, all I did was pick back enough to leave myself some tails on each edge, on each end, and I pulled those threads to the back. And then when I started stitching again, so that I wouldn't see any back stitching on the right side, I put my needle down in the stitch that I ended in, left my tails long, finished the top stitching and the basting, and then I pulled my threads to the back on this piece and I tied them off. All right, so take your two folded edges, match up those edges, and then mark your centers. All right, now we're going to take our pattern piece A, and I'm going to work on the back side. So pattern piece A, we have our lining piece without anything on it, and then our lining piece with our zipper pocket. So ensure that your centers are marked on the top. Oh, that one is, and on the bottom. And same with your zipper pocket piece. Okay, make sure you keep the zipper open. So the first piece I'm putting on my curve is on the left side. Line up your centers with your double-sided tape and all across the top raw edges. Then double-sided tape across that top edge again, including the back panel lining. And then we're going to take our remaining pattern piece B, the front and upper back panel, and these are the two that are left that don't have any interfacing on. And then we're going to match our centers, right sides together, and stick them on. Okay, put that one aside, and then on this panel, without anything on, double-sided tape along the raw edge of the lining side of your zipper facing. And this time your curve of the zipper is on your right side. So right side up and right side up, line up your centers and all across the top raw edge. Double-sided tape across the top edge again, all the way across, including the lining edges here. And then again, with right sides together, line up your centers of your panel piece B. All right, we're just going to stitch across here at the seam allowance in the pattern. Yeah. And repeat for the other side. Make sure you keep your zipper tails out of the way too. All right, now this is where there was a little controversy when I had my live yesterday making the gold sunflower one, because everybody does, when they do their zipper facings, I just folded up this top edge and then I top stitched across here. In the pattern, and how everybody else does it, they fold all of this up and then their seam is going downward, so that when you top stitch across this top folded edge on the lining side, it catches the seam allowance. So I'm going to do it that way because that's how it's written in the pattern. I still like the other way as well, but we're going to top stitch that. Ensuring that the seam allowance is going towards the bottom, oops, that the seam allowance is going towards the bottom of the bag, and I'm top stitching on the lining side. A lot of layers here. Just gonna do my zipper up for the moment. I'll just have to remember to open it up, help turn things. And we'll do the same on the other side. We'll fold all of that up and top stitch on the lining side. Here, I have a little bit of excess on this side, and I'm just going to trim that excess exterior off from here. Get my zipper tail out of the way so I don't cut it off. Okay, and I'll just make sure I'm okay on this side. Yeah, I've got a little extra on here too. Sometimes your fabric stretches, but honestly, I'm not the world's best cutter. Alrighty, so there we have our 2 lining panels with the zipper going, with the zippers all top stitched up here. All right, we're just going to put those guys aside for the moment, and we're going to get our pattern piece E, our lining base, and our pattern piece H and I. So we'll just put the base aside for the moment. So H, you have 2 exterior pieces, and your pattern piece I, you have 2 lining pieces. So we're going to line up the bottom edges, the wider edges here. No, sorry. We're going to line up these 2 shorter edges. And clip, and we're going to sew them and then top stitch them. Got it upside down. We're going to the short edge on here. There's a long edge and a short edge, and then we're going to use the long edge against the short edge here. Right sides together. And we'll sew that at the seam allowance, and then flip it and top stitch. Okay, and then we'll flip it. All right, now we'll take our base. So we have our 2 side panels for the lining, and we're going to take our base and put right sides together, flip, stitch, flip, and top stitch. for both sides. All right, match your folded, your seams where you sewed your base on, and clip your centers on your base. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start working on adding our gusset to our front and back panels. Okay, so right sides together, match your centers of the bottom of your front one panel, lining panel, with the center on the base, and clip the same as what we did on the exterior. Line up your sides. Let's come on this way. When you line up your side seam should match as well. We're going to start at the top here at the seam allowance in the pattern, and then when I get past this point, I'm going to graduate into a larger seam allowance, go all the way around, and then when I get back up to this point, I'm going to come in to a smaller seam allowance to what the seam allowance in the pattern is. Go slow around your curves. Oh, I almost caught my zipper tape in there. It just wants to get sewn. Kind of went off here. Okay, and now I'm going to start decreasing the size of my seam allowance back down to what it's the actual seam allowance in the pattern. And then we will repeat for the other side. I'm just going to clip these. Just going to clip these zipper tails so they don't get caught again. Well, mind you, I don't have to worry about this one. It's already been, well, I'll be stitching it on. Okay, right sides together starting at the bottom. Match your centers. Now I'm going to be leaving a turning hole between these two seams. So I'm not going to be sewing them. I'm going to be clipping them just to clip them shut. But I'm not going to sew them. And to remind me, I'm going to put 2 clips right here to remind me that the 2 clips are where I leave my turning hole. Alrighty. Okay, I'll take my pinking shears and I'm just going to trim off the seam allowance and trim it down to 1/4 of an inch. I'm not trimming my opening hole. Okay. Just going to take these corners and trim these corners down, which will help in the top stitching. Okay, now we get to start putting this bag together. So I want my zippers closing this way. So this is going to be my front of the bag, and that's where the zipper pocket is. So the front of the bag has to go, because we're putting the interior into the lining. So it'll be a tight squeeze. So this is the front of my bag. This will be the front of the lining, and we'll shove that in. And we're going to be doing a lot of clipping. So make sure that your D-ring connectors are down. Line up your side seams, your exterior and interior lining side seams. Oops. Floor is floating. Okay. So I'm going to clip around this off camera. It's very tedious. Okay, so we're just going to nest the seams, the side seams, to reduce bulk in our stitching. This is a stiffer bag than the other two that I did, but it's actually very nice. The top edge here where the D-ring connector is. Those are nested. I'll have to shove your bag a little further, because your lining is smaller than your exterior, so that's why you'll be fighting getting it in there. But get your side seams lined up and get them clipped and nested. The seams nested together. This bag comes together so nicely when you're not making mistakes. All right, well, maybe I'll clip it on camera. There's no point in doing it. All right, now we're just going to stitch so it's all clipped. And we're going to stitch all the way around that at the seam allowance in the pattern. Oops, a daisy. Fight to get it under here. Go slow around your curves. Pull this down. It's probably too much of a glare. Put my fan on. All right, it's all stitched. Now we're going to turn it right side out. Okay, so to spare you the agony, literally, because of my thumbs, of me turning this bag out, it takes me a long time. And, you know, I still have my seams to train, and how I do those is I run hot towels in a hot dryer, and then as I pull them out of the dryer, I stuff my bags solid. And then that helps to push these seams out. Leave the towels in your bag, and it'll hold the heat in there for like 24 hours, and then you can take them out. Putting cold towels in a bag overnight never really worked for me. So there's the bag so far. And I've got it all turned out and clipped. But I want to get that zipper, keep that zipper out of my way. So what I'm going to do is line up my two folded edges here where the curve is, and I'm going to clip that the zipper teeth together, ensuring that everything stays together and that those two ends stay together and match up. Do them down here, it's thinner. Clip the zipper teeth, and I'm going to put my zipper pull on now. I can put my zipper end on too. Might as well do that now, and then we'll top stitch and then put the strap on. All right, so I have my zipper teeth all lined up, and then I'm just going to pull this end up and just ensure that when I pull my zipper teeth tails together, I'm going to have to cut a lot of it off because I knew I had too much. So I'm going to cut that off. Leave it about that long. Okay, so we'll put the zipper pull on. I'm just going to do that. Okay, so we're going to put the zipper pull on now. And your edges should be lined up because we cut them straight, assuming. Oops, came off. Make sure your edges are lined up when you put your zipper on. Your end edges, I mean. There, pull one tooth down. Pop that on. Good. Okay. Take your clips out of off your zipper. Okay. And now our zipper. Oh, there's one of those. There's the clip. Okay. And now our zipper matches. The two folded edges are even, and so is our zipper. So we've got that out of the way. We're going to tuck the zipper tail down, and we'll deal with that after. And then I'm going to start top stitching, and I'm going to have to do it from the inside. I don't have a cylinder arm, so when I start from the inside, I start kind of where a seam is because I'm going to pull my threads to the back. So I'll pull my seams to the back somewhere in here around at the back of the bag, and because when I tie them off and burn them, you don't want to see a little knot on the right side. So, wish me luck. Okay, woohoo! Okay, so when I pulled my other threads that I'd already sewn, I tied them together so that I already know the ones that I'm pulling. I'll just pull that little loop, try and find it. Come on, bag, don't move. There we go. Okay, I gotta hold it down here and tie my threads. And I always do 2 ties in each knot. And that stops your knot from, if you just do 1 tie, your tie will pop open. This way it prevents it from popping open. There, now I can tuck that knot into the seam without it being seen. Okay, so before we go any further, I'm just going to pull up this end, get my, I have a fan on if you hear that noise. I'm sorry, it's getting warm in here. All the sun, I face south here, so all the sun is coming in now. All right. Before we go any further, oh, that was my screw. I don't want to lose that. I'm going to put some glue in the end of my zipper end. Put a couple of drops inside, and that'll help hold the zipper in place. Tap it down. So then what I do with my zipper end is I take the zipper tape, fold it in half, and then first burn the ends. They're fraying like crazy. Okay, fold that in half, then fold it in behind your zipper tape. Do the same for the other side, and fold them in on top of each other, and then I burn them and melt them. And that just helps secure them more. Then put your zipper end on, shove it in as far as you can go, and that glue will also help set it. And get your screw. Oops. Come on, get back here. This screw. When you catch your screw, screw it in. Trying to hold the bag at the same time. All right, so there, our zipper is done. Just like that. You can tuck that in. Now, before we add the strap, the one thing I do want to do is I'm going to put rivets just below my rectangle rings, just to kind of hold them in place. We need rivets anyways for this strap. Try and get as much with purple on. 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Oops, bang. All right, so I'm just going to eyeball it, kind of put it maybe half an inch down, but centered. Hope these aren't too long. Thanks. Uh-oh, where did it go? fell inside the bag. Oh, shoot. Okay, there it is. Good. Didn't want it getting lost inside because I haven't sewn up my zipper pockets yet. I haven't sewn anything up inside yet. That was a good reminder. I just want to get these on. Okay, so we're just going to set these rivets. Okay. Okay, and then we'll do the strap after I finish sewing up the inside. All right, so undo the zipper, pull out under your zipper pocket. Pull your lining through your zipper pocket. I think is how it's going to go. Not working. So I'm pulling the lining through that opening in the zipper pocket to seal up this bottom end. Lined up here. And clip them. That opened up. That's what the problem is. Okay. All right, so then I'm just going to stitch this whole bottom seam closed at the longer seam allowance like we did for the sides. I'll just trim that seam allowance. The scissors aren't very good today. All right, so we'll shove that lining back through the zipper pocket. And then I'm just going to grab I'm just going to get the zipper pocket and fold those ends in, and then sew that up at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So push those ends down that I had already sewn. Clip. Here we go. It's caught. All right, so we're just going to stitch across there, 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, just to ensure that we catch the front and back of the pocket seam allowance. We're getting there. Almost done. Oh, come on. All right, stick your pocket inside. It's not a very big pocket. Or at least the way I did it, it's not a very big pocket, but it's just enough. Just enough to hold some small things like your lipstick and keys and okay, now push your lining all down in here to train those seams. Close up the zipper pocket. And we'll close the zipper. Now we'll attach the strap. Okay, so this will be right side up. Stick your strap end in here, and your strap ends will be on the underside. And then I'm going to punch a hole. Find my hole punch. And we'll do the same for the other side. This is a very pretty bag. Make sure your straps are not twisted. So we'll line them up and make sure they're both even. Oh, that one's a little too long. Okay. All right, and we'll do our rivets. Perfect. I love when I feel it going in. There we go. Okay. And we're done. Yay. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Now the seams still have to be trained, so that still all has to be done, even though I pushed them out, and you know, it takes time for the seams to get rolled out. Another thing I can do is take some clips and just clip along the seams, maybe for about an hour, and as long as they don't leave marks. But look at that. Isn't that a gorgeous bag? Very, very nice. Now, if you wanted to, you could put purse feet on the bottom, but I chose not to. So here we have this gorgeous two-tone strap with our our rectangle ring connectors. We have this gorgeous flap, large slip pocket on the inside. Now, and then we have our recessed zipper, done the way in the pattern, and then when you open it up, I still have to push the lining down. On the back wall of the bag, I don't have anything. Now in the yellow one, I have a slip pocket, but I didn't put one on this one. But in here, on this side, we do have the zipper pocket. So all lining, again, is from Sam Fabric. This gray-blue faux leather I got from my local Walmart here. And then this butterfly and dragonfly faux leather is from Temu. And I've had that for quite some time, and I've made a number of bags with it. So here's the one that I did in the live yesterday with many, many mistakes on the live. Here's the one that I did today, editing out any mistakes. Aren't they gorgeous? They are a beautiful bag, and it's a wonderful size. And now this one I did the zipper, recessed zipper, different. This one I did it as it is in the pattern, and you can see that you can see the difference. It sits up. This one sits down. I kind of like the one that sits down better, personally, but you do you. And that is a gorgeous, gorgeous bag. So again, Holly, Purses by Holly, thank you so much for asking me to do a tutorial, not only on the, I showed you this at the beginning, this is the Diva size of the Hollywood shoulder bag. So this one I did in the blue leather, and I really zhuzhed this one up. So this is the Diva size, and this is the Petite size. So just like the sunflower gold one, that's the Petite as well. So this is gorgeous. So there's a tutorial already out on the big one, the big Diva. I did it as a drop-in lining because it was just too big. But this one I had my zipper pocket, inside zipper pocket open, but I left an opening in the bottom lining. This one on the live, I just birthed it through the zipper pocket opening because I couldn't find anywhere in the pattern where it says leave an opening in the bottom. So 3 different kinds of ways, but isn't that beautiful? I love it. I love the shape of it. I love the style of the 2 bags. Well, now we have 3. We've got the 2 Petites and 1 Diva for the Hollywood shoulder bag from Purses by Holly. So again, Holly, thank you so much for asking me to do the tutorial on this amazing bag. It's a really cute size, but it has a lot of room in it. So there is a lot of room for tons of stuff. I mean, I've got this one with my stuff in it, and there's still lots of room. So again, please like, comment, and share, and subscribe. Bottom right corner of your screen there, again, there's a little red subscribe button. So click on that. to subscribe. Make sure that you change your bell notification. It always defaults to highlights or whatever. Make sure it's set to see all posts. You have to manually set that. So we will see you in the next tutorial. So thank you again for hanging out with me and making this gorgeous Hollywood shoulder bag petite size. All right, take care, guys, and we'll see you the next time.